Good evening. This is Les Hill from Less is More Coaching. Today I was asked the question, what is the fastest way that I can add money to my business? I thought about this and I came up with 10 things. First, which is probably the number one thing I do once I get to know my client and my customer, I look at their prices. 90% of the time, what has happened for me is that I end up raising my clients' prices. We live in a world where we think, are we good enough? We're not quite that good. We don't want to be too expensive, so we price ourselves on the lower end. And yet, a lot of us provide a phenomenal quality product or service, and we don't charge enough, and we're worried. That's the first thing I do, is raise your prices. The other is, could you sell more? Are you doing everything that you know to sell? Are you closing those sales? I work on helping people close ratio better. Taking a lot of people from closing 1 out of 4 to closing 2 or 3 out of 4. Why? Because we spend a little bit more time in the proposal. We spend a little bit more time figuring out the client pain point, the client desire. That's the second thing I do. The third is lower the cost of what you do. In other words, are you able to go to a vendor and get them to give you a better price now that you're up and running, now that you're selling? Look, I know I'm going to be working and selling 100 of these in the next 2 months. So if I commit to buying 600 for the next 6 months, what price will you give me? Lowering the cost of your goods, lowering the cost of what it takes for you to provide the service to your client, fine-tuning, working with a financial coach, not just me, but working with a financial coach to fine-tune the finances. Fourth, cut expenses. You know, operating expenses are a necessity. We have a phone, we have a cell phone, we have a car, we have gas, we have building space, all of these things. What can we do to cut expenses right out of the chute? It's a good place to look. A lot of times we, as entrepreneurs, are not doing all of the work necessary, where if we had a financial coach could come in and say, look, I've dealt with these people. I know what you can ask for. Here's the time to push back. Here's the time to push back, especially right now with COVID-19. Looking at getting a reprieve on a loan. Looking at working a better deal for rent for the next 6 months. Not paying rent, but coming up with, you know what, I'd like to lower this. How many of you have accounts receivable where people owe you money? And I'll get to it. I don't want to push. Here's the thing, that's integrity. That doesn't create workability. And think about it, if you're working with a client and you're letting them get away with not paying you, would they do that to their client? What is that demonstrating? So that's number 5. Number 6, a lot of times some of the businesses I work with carry too much inventory, too much on hand. They're not cautious about getting a hold of the right amount of inventory to do what it is they do. They carry too much, thinking that that's the best way to get a deal. No, not at all. I work with clients to get a deal by committing over time as opposed to buying a lot right in one fell swoop. So lowering that inventory is a great way to add money to your business. You know, I mentioned the COVID-19. Right now, number 7 on my top 10 is for quick cash. You could slow down and make smaller loan paybacks. If you have a car payment, you can pause it for 2 to 3 months, depending on who your loan is with. Your mortgage, you can pause that for up to 3 months. Great ideas to suddenly have extra money, which you could then put into your business. The other is crowdfunding. Quick Kickstarter programs, those ways to, if you have a new idea and you're struggling to have the money to add the money to your business to grow that leap, look at crowdfunding, look at doing a fundraiser, look at doing a Kickstarter fund, checking into some of those areas to raise money. Number 9, microloans. You know, when I first got into business, I got a microloan from Anoka County, and it paid for my laptop. It was awesome. Didn't even know it existed. No payback. It was a grant. All I had to do was prove my income from the year before, what I was up to, give them a plan, answer a bunch of questions, do an interview, and I got a check. Unbelievable. What a great opportunity. And I do, just so you know, I do have some connections for that. So if you are looking for a microloan and you are looking for a county source and you're in a local area here in the Twin Cities, I do know an organization that works with Anoka County and Washington County. So send me a text. Number 10, this is always my fun one. Have a sale, give a discount. For instance, for me, my favorite story is when I had a client who had known me from when I was leading a personal training and development program. And she came to me and said, Les, your rates are too low. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to help you raise your rates. And I want a 1-year contract with you, and you're going to give me a 10% discount. And it was hilarious. She and her business completely turned me around, added value to my business. She created an opportunity for me to see myself in a new light through a client's eyes. And I was so cheap in the beginning that I think people look to go, yeah, he can't really be a professional business coach and charge that little. That's just not possible. And so there was a realism to my price. And then when she created that price hike for me, which was my number 1, by the way, on the top 10 ways that you can add money to your business, and finishing up here, she created a discount for committing to a 1-year contract and signing a contract. I hope this has been of value to you, and I look forward to reaching out to you tomorrow with day 4. Take care, have a wonderful weekend, and God bless.